Hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome, and yeah, hopefully today I'll show you off some of the cool new stuff that we've introduced in release 5.8. I won't say that we have a huge ton of things to show off. There's been lots of back-end stuff. Obviously, the remaster is coming up. It's coming out in just over a week, and it seems like we're almost ready. I really want to congratulate the data entry team for all the exceptional work that they've done. It's not to say that there wasn't code changes that needed to happen to make the remaster happen, but truly it's the data entry side of the house that had an exceptionally large amount of work to do. And I won't say that it was 100% to Kale, because that's not fair to everyone else who contributed. He did only like a solid 90% worth himself, and then arranged everyone else to do the rest of it. I will reach out and thank everyone in the community who went and has donated their time and their effort once they've gotten their books and proved ownership, that came on and helped and hopped on the data entry world. We're almost ready to push that all into the system. It's been a huge lift, and I'm just absolutely impressed and pleased with the entire team. I just feel bad because I wish I could have done more to help out. It's just a necessary part of life that says that sometimes I can't do everything I want. I now realize that I've forgotten to close the blinds behind me so you can enjoy a nice sky and some reflected light off of my monitors. That's what you get for not having a professional streamer. I still don't have a new mouse, so I apologize if you hear any thwacking like this. But I don't have to scroll across 3 screens today, and especially when I put one screen on the wrong side. Live streaming, interesting thing. I don't know that I'll ever become a professional at it, but I do my best for all of you. Anyways, on to the very cool things that we have to show off. First one, big deal for pretty much everyone. Hopefully most of you have discovered this if you've upgraded, but much like we have a strike box, we now have the ability to show the dialogue when we roll damage. So notice that damage one. So if you forgot, or if you're playing Theater of the Mind and didn't want to turn on the toggle, or there's something that was missed, then you can toggle sneak attack on, or if it shouldn't be on for some reason, the GM tells you, you can turn it off. If there was a wall in the wrong spot and it detected and you think that it shouldn't, now it's really, really easy to do all of that. You can also add in all sorts of modifiers and types of damage. It's really, really flexible. Now, a lot of people may not want this dialogue to come up every time. It has the exact same behavior. You can disable it. You'll notice that there's no longer disable here. You can disable it down here with the always show. So you can turn that off. And now whenever you roll damage, it'll just roll damage. But if you hold down the shift key, much like with the rolls, you can pop it up just like that. So something to add a little bit more flexibility, a little bit more ease to everyone's game. So I think that's a simple one to demo, but very, very powerful, and one that I hope the community is very excited for. Another cool one that we've added in, whoops, wrong button. Here we go, compendium browser. So now when we want to go and select things, we can now have a not, if you like, in our search traits. So that's did we not turn it on? Oh wait, there we are, not. So you can now look for anything that doesn't have a certain trait. So if you want all weapons that aren't finesse, you can select the finesse trait and then say, I don't want things that are finesse. So if you want to find all the things that are agile but are not finesse, you can do that. And if you want all the things that are agile and finesse, you can do that. If you want all the finesse weapons that aren't agile, then you can do that as well. So just another little thing to try and help out. Again, we're not trying to replace Archives of Nethys. We're not trying to do anything like that. We're just trying to make it a little bit easier if you want to make a quick search. We've added a couple things to the back end. So there's now support for altering aura effects. We've added that into the back end. There's not much there for me to demo. And we've started to add support for designating damage rolls as actually being healing rolls. I know that we have issues when sometimes you'll have Inspire Courage up and you go and roll healing, you'll get a +1 and you think it shouldn't be there. So we're working along that path to try and get rid of that problem. One of the other issues that we had, or we talked about internally, so we had creatures and creatures with auras, like the smog wraith here that puts out an aura of, what is it called? Noxious smog. And so here you go, you see it affects Quinn. But a lot of people asked, you know, if it's on the hidden layer, we don't want it really present. We just want it dragged out as a token. We don't want it to apply. And before it was applying because, well, it's supposed to be in the scene. If you want to block that kind of aura, people were using it as sort of an undetected thing. So you can still make this undetected. Now it's undetected from the player's point of view. They won't see it, but they'll be affected by the aura, as opposed to the new behavior that we've added, where if you drop it to the GM layer by making it invisible, the aura will stop applying. So now you don't know that it's there. Gives a little bit more flexibility to the GM. So it was something that we were happy to take a second look at, go back and mix up. So hopefully that's helpful for those of you who wanted something like that. The aura effects and textures that we have are now drawn underneath the tokens. It was sort of a weird thing where the aura layer was manifesting over top of the token layer. So we've now reprioritized the layering in the back end, so that shouldn't happen anymore. One cool thing that we did add for especially all of you monks out there, monks have a fist strike, which is different than an unarmed attack. So fists are literally your fists and they punch. What happens when you fill up your hands? So if I have one hand holding my temple sword, the other hand I'm going to draw my bottled lightning, you see the bottled lightning now becomes colored, and your fist, it still exists as a strike, but it now indicates that your hands are occupied, so you can't use that particular strike. So you can drop the bottled lightning, it'll come back. You can sheath the bottled lightning, it'll come back. But anything where you're doing a strike and your fists are necessary, yet you don't have your hands free, we now have an option to allow that to be displayed. Now, I guess some people who are playing monks got a little bit confused when all of a sudden things that require a fist specifically for a feat were starting to disappear. So we've now made it a little bit clearer. And for those of you who are doing development, one of the nice things that we have, I guess I'll have to roll something worth examining. Way down here, you'll see that we'll have the UUID of the signature of wherever this effect came from. This isn't going to mean a whole lot to anybody who's just a player. It's a piece of information that now roles are having attached to them. This will be very helpful for people developing modules. So if you're a player and that string of letters and numbers makes absolutely no sense to you, you can ignore that it's there. It doesn't matter for anything that you want to do. However, if you happen to be building modules, you might be a little bit excited that that's there. Now, I always love doing something like this because I forgot to test this, but let's pull out a lovely little mitflit. Mitflits are known for having massive pools of 10 hit points. And for the sake of it, let's just make Mauricio level 20, because why not? So she's going to go up to the poor Mitflit. Oh, I don't know if this will work with NPCs. It doesn't matter for NPCs. It needs to be the other way. I guess let's pull out Ezren. Ezren has no hit points. A solid 16 hit points. And then we just need something suitably stronger than him, like a Baylor. So walks up to Ezren and says, I don't like you. That'll be enough. So now you see that Ezren takes 36 points of damage. The massive damage immediately kills them. So no death saves, no nothing like that. Instead, if we take someone who has a couple more hit points, so 36, 36, he just goes down to 0. No notification that massive damage has occurred. Other than that, a couple of things in the back end that have happened. If you happen to use vehicles, there's now a total bulk trait for the vehicle inventory, much like we added to the party sheet. Should I pull out disintegrate? The more powerful version of Ezren. Why don't we give him disintegrate? Oops, doesn't work if I do it in that tab. So this is just evil Ezren. Evil Ezren, of course, having all of the wonderful powers of Ezren plus a evil mustache. So we'll let him try and make a save. Oh, critical failure. I don't know what the Easter egg is, Shark. I should have practiced this. Otherwise, built into the system now, massive damage takes priority. Okay, so I just need to give them lots. What if I just do that to Quinn? There we go. So there you go. Quinn takes 77 damage. They are reduced to a fine powder. Their gear remains. That's awesome. So lots of fun things that we can sneak in. Otherwise, especially for people who make modules, the spell heightening traits now can override cool stuff. I don't know that I really want to dig into this spell interface and go through some heightening stuff. Oh, I guess I would have to do it through spell list. There we go. Apparently I'm having a night. So I think with variants now, we can edit them and now add new traits in that will override. So that's something that's available for people to play around with. I think those are all the really, really big changes that we had in 5.8, at least that are player-facing and interesting and in at least one case fun. So other than that, a couple other things that I did want to talk about quickly. Well, I have everybody's attention, and I promise, yes, it will be quick. I want to swap over and talk a little bit about our Extra Life fundraiser. So I am just, I don't know how to express my thanks and my appreciation to the community. We started doing Extra Life 2 years ago, or I guess 2 Extra Lives ago, so this was our third one. Thanks to the generosity of everybody out there, I think we've raised almost $30,000 in total. I should really go back and take a look. But last year we were over $10,000, and the year before I think we raised 5 or 6. I can't quite remember. But looking at that, this year the team set a goal of $15,000, and after our I guess big event, we're up to almost $11,500. That's absolutely incredible. I'm over 50%. Unfortunately, I don't have any cool goals like Shark, other than if you do donate and to any of the team members. Let me know if you've donated specifically to mine and then put in that you want a coaster and put in your mailing address. I'm happy to do that. Otherwise, I'm making up these cool coasters for this year. So it's a picture of our good friend Teeklo saying that you're an Extra Life donor. If you happen to donate over $100 and would like a variant, I'm willing for $100 to make a version of that, but the bottom will say Teeklo's Hero instead of saying Extra Life Donor 2023. So that's all I really have to offer. Otherwise, Shark's done a couple of really cool, really, really crazy things. He went, I don't know, over the top. And because we had such success last year, sort of last minute, adding on, if we get to certain milestones, we will add certain things to the system. So at $2,500, he said that he would add customizable domains, precious materials, and runes to the system. So that is something that will be coming sometime next year. It's not going to come next week. It will come when he has time. It's just something he's committed to putting on his list to do. Last year, one of the things that people asked for, which was the armor having the same thing as weapons, where when you change traits, it now increases the cost. It'll change the name of it. That was something that took us a while to implement, and by us, I mean Shark. Mostly because we were trying to figure out a better way to do it, and we just realized we really need to make good on our commitment instead. So it only happened a month and a half or 2 months before Extra Life, which that's what you get for a volunteer project, but it did happen. So expect customizable domains, precious materials, and runes to come soon for those of you who want to homebrew, add cool stuff to your system, and I think module makers will be pretty happy with that as well. At the $5,000 mark, we said, as much as we love the module that Teeklo made for Animal Companions and Eidolons, maybe we should retire it and migrate that into the system. And so we've met that goal. And for the $10,000 goal, relative detection states, hide and sneak mechanics per token, hidden and undetected, one thing that we have talked about internally, and Shark was right, I was going to wait till the end. We don't know if the 10,000 to Shark will stick. We might be switching to a team-based goal instead. So I don't know what we want to set as that as a replacement. I mean, I'd be super happy if we knocked this all out of the park. Let's just get 17.5 grand on the donation list. Get Shark and I maxed out, and then we'll definitely do that thing. Maybe we'll do more. Who knows? Yeah. So just out to the whole community, thank you so much for your support, because it was all you this year. And special thanks to all my guests on the live stream, Anathema from Foundry, Alex, Al Austin, who did some of the work on the Kingmaker module for Foundry, as well as the really, really cool PR videos that we got to see. We had Drentel, our very happy robot, and no, who did I have last? Oh, it's embarrassing when I draw a blank like that. Oh, right. Fry Guy Kevin. Yeah. It was an awesome stream. It was a lot of fun. I hope those of you who watched it enjoyed it. I hope it was worthwhile for all the small donations you made. It was incredible to watch Nath roll better with a D10 than a D20. Maybe he's right. Maybe he's cursed. And he just should just not play D20 systems. But good time had by all, I'd like to think. So as an additional fundraiser for a different charity, at the Cayden's Ascension coming up at the start of December, I'll be hosting a live stream playthrough of one of the newest released Pathfinder Society scenarios. I think it comes out 30th of December, 30th of November. So if you happen to own the Sigil pack that we're sort of releasing scenarios as they come out, this will be the new Sewer Dragon one. And I will happily be joined by Alex Speidel, head of organized play. And last year we had an amazing time when we ran the live stream game. Jeremiah came out in full force, accidentally released Aslan on the entire Pathfinder Society, and it's in canon. It's Alex Speidel's fault that the whole meta plot happened. Remember that. So this year we'll see what interesting things will come. Unfortunately, Jeremiah grew up in the Society. Not sure who's going to come and play, but because Drentel is an amazing simulated human robot, he's ponied up a whole bunch of money to come and play in another game with me. It looks like we're going to be raising $600 for an LGBTQ charity that is the one designated for Cayden's Ascension. If you come and play in that particular convention, online sort of slots will be opening up soon. You can purchase free rerolls. So yeah, for charity donations, you can improve your chances of doing really well in a society game, or just come and watch the live stream. I'll be running a bunch of games over the weekend, including the special. Really looking forward to it. It's a very fun convention. And Cayden's Keg is kind of the de facto Foundry lodge, if you like. It's really not. It's just one of the online lodges. It's just Arshea, she dragged me over right at the very, very start of sort of my getting into Pathfinder Society, and I started running games there, and I've ran the majority of my games there. A lot of games are on Boundary. It's not to say other VTTs there aren't welcome. Games are run in Fantasy Grounds and Roll20 on it. A lot using Table Plop. There's both Play by Discord and VTT games on it. It's just an amazing place to be, an awesome community. I mean, I've had lots of fun with the whole online organized play community, but Cayden's Keg is truly sort of the place that I like to call home. With that, there is one more person who did want to talk to everybody tonight. So please stand by for the person you've really been waiting to see, Teeklo the Goblin. Hi, everyone. It's me, Teeklo. I'm happy to see all of you, except for a shark who is very, very not nice. But I will be nice to all. First, I want to say thank you to all of those who helped to donate. It was very, very much appreciated. I do want to recognize a couple of other people because although you help, they do too. So there's two people who work in customer service, which is one of the most important parts of any good company. First, we have Kate. She's recently joined the team and has dived right into helping get problems resolved for folks as best as she's able. She's regularly finding new ways to improve the processes that are used and make things easier for all the customers. When it comes to customer feedback, it's always fun to hear the wonderful things that people have to say. so don't hold back. She's been a grateful addition to the customer service team and always makes sure to look at things from the fans' perspective. Then we have James. He's the oldest but most jovial member of the customer service team. No matter the situation, he finds a way to look at the positive side and make things better for folks where he can. He has a community-focused mindset and is always jumping on more difficult issues to try and provide the best care he's able to. He's got an all-around positive attitude and isn't afraid to ask questions to make sure the customer gets the best assistance possible. And so with that, the last things that I sort of have to say is, yes, this will be the last release on sort of what we're calling the pre-master. So starting after this bug fix comes out, which should be either today or in the next day or two, that's sort of the end of the line until we really push things forward. To remind people, anything that is just getting a simple name replacement, we've pretty much done all of those already. If things have a spiritual successor but are mechanically different, we're splitting those apart, so you'll still have both options. And then if you look at things like classes where certain things are being retired, we're going to be moving that into a separate module. So at some point after 5.9, and 5.9 will likely be a prerequisite for this module, we'll have an additional module maintained sort of by the system that if you want to continue using old things from the different classes that are changing, they will still be made available, but only as side-loaded through a module. It's just trying to reduce the system size a little bit for things that are realistically deprecated. We're not going to guarantee that forever that's going to work going forward. At some point, there may be a critical or a terminal breakage. We would love to be able to make everything work for everyone all the time in the exact way that they want. It's just, as a volunteer project, you have to figure out where you want to be and where you want to go. So we'll do our best to make sure that you're still able to play the game exactly the way you want to. It's always been our goal to not get in the way, and that's why it was really cool to add something like the damage dialogue, because now it gives you a lot more flexibility. But we've done it in a way that will work with modules, work with everything that already exists. It's not a hacky coding workaround. It's really, really solid. And that's sort of the hallmark of everything we do in the system. We don't want to put anything in that isn't going to be the best possible way that we can, that gives you the most flexibility and adheres really to the rules that have been written and set out without being overly burdensome. Some places we do have to make that choice. And again, trying to maintain the old classes, which are realistically not that compatible when you bring them forward because of changes in the remaster, it's one of the things that's left on the cutting room floor. You're still always able to go back to 5.2.3, which was our last before we started adding anything in the remaster. And then 5.8.3 will likely be the point that once you go past here, certain classes are going to break if you're using the old ones. If there's no reference to something that exists in the old CRB, does it still exist? Yes. Just because it's not... anything from the previous game still travels forward. It's anything that's being replaced or modified. So if you now have... the perfect example is sort of Tailwind. Tailwind just replaced Longstrider. It's the exact same spell, it's just now has a new name. So it's not gone, but we're not going to have a Tailwind and a Longstrider in the system. Then if you look at Produce Flame versus Ignition, Ignition's a spiritual successor, but it's not a mechanical successor. There are differences, so we're keeping both, because both are still valid for play. We're not trying to take options away. So pushing forward, anything that's in the core rulebooks, I think we had to do a couple weird things. There are certain feats that fall under things like the ASMR that just no longer work because they don't make sense. So those will probably move to the legacy module if you still want to use them. Those won't exist though, because there's no way to make it work in the system. The number of things that fall in that category are pretty small in general though. And yeah, there's a journal that we're trying to record the changes. In addition, I will let you know that for sort of the next release, we'll be reminding everyone. So every GM, I'm sorry if it's annoying, you are going to get a pop-up. And it's just going to remind you that this is the final release before changes from the player core and GM core are added into code. A lot of the changes, it'll explain through them. The PC options that are functionally changing, it addresses the fact that it'll move to a module. The alignment itself is sort of being removed. The data will still exist. It's hidden. It will be able to be turned on by modules, and it will take the place of being a trait instead of being sort of a selector, if you like. The dual class and ancestry paragon variant rules are moving to the workbench module, so we're not going to maintain them in the core. Other variants that weren't reprinted, like stamina, will be staying in the system, at least for now, just because they're really difficult for a module to try and override. As for all the premium content, all of the adventure modules developed by places like Sigil will be kept up with the system releases. So this means that if you do want to buy the next book that's coming out, the expectation is you will move to the remaster. I'm sorry if that doesn't meet with what everybody wants. You can always try and downgrade after the fact. We'll also try and move everything into the system wiki so that it doesn't just exist in the Pathfinder system. You'll be able to look at the system wiki and get that same information. So just looking through, I don't see any other questions in chat. I will hang around for another minute or two if anybody does have any questions. Hopefully you found all of the cool things that we added interesting and entertaining. Again, if you feel like donating to Extra Life, we're certainly not going to stop you. Keep fundraising and we'll keep trying to add features for next year. Now this is thank you for your sympathies. Oh yeah, I don't have the chat on this screen, unfortunately. Forgot about turning that on. Doesn't really fit with what the Extra Life one was for. But in chat, now this just pointed out that Archives of Nevis, they're going through and just tightening all the bolts necessary for an SRD release. And we appreciate the sympathy and all the decisions that had to be made to make it work for a VTT, because we can't just sort of have a second database on a back end and serve the information. Everything sort of has to be preloaded on the front end in the way that Foundry works. Teeklo makes a good point. The legacy data module will have all the data you need to keep playing 95% of the same way that you're doing right now. Again, if alignment's a big thing for you, someone's probably going to go and almost immediately make a module that re-exposes it and re-enables it. These are all things that are possible. It's just we're trying to divest the system of that responsibility in particular. So if someone else doesn't do it and you really want it, the nice thing about Foundry is that you can. Teeklo does make a good point. We have set up the legacy module, so it will enable that for you, the alignment stuff. With that, if you do have any questions about it, generally some of us are floating around on the Discord, always happy to answer. Extra Life, link is right up there. Feel free to donate to the team. I think we're about in 80th place. I'm pretty sure we're not going to catch up with Magic the Gathering at something like $300,000 or $400,000, but we don't offer exclusive Magic cards, and the Magic audience is both huge and insane. So thank you all for attending. Thank you all for paying attention. It was lovely to be with you here tonight, and be very excited for the 5.9 live stream where we'll get to demonstrate all the cool stuff that's being added. And to answer the question, yes, the legacy module should be available when 5.9 hits. We'll try and get it approved so that we can release both of them at the same time. Have a good night, everybody.